Am I out of focus? Probably. Yeah, it gets worse. I'm losing my shit. Hey guys, welcome back to Kriss Beauty. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Christina. Some of you call me Kriss, others Tina. Whatever you prefer, that's fine with me. Guys, it's been a minute, but you know what? Let's move forward. In today's video, I'll be sharing my #1 drugstore favorites, and I will also be testing out a couple of things that are so-called favorites because I did my research because I wanted to give you guys a thorough rundown of everything that is worth buying from the drugstore. Today's video is going to be a super long video. Please, I apologize in advance. So go ahead, get your popcorn, get your sparkling water, and let's jump right in. Okay, so as you guys can tell, I am not moisturized. I don't have the brows on, no lashes, no nothing. I went down a whole list. When I tell you that I did my research, I really did my research. Like, I went in on all my personal favorites and drugstore products that I have heard were really good. So I went ahead and purchased some. Some of them I don't have. So please bear with me, but I will put them up right here if I don't have it. And yeah, so I have a ton of things. I probably should have split this up into 2 videos, but I'm not. So please bear with me, but I do have price points and all that stuff. So I'm gonna start off with moisturizer. Now you guys know that I am very picky when it comes to moisturizer because of the dryness of my skin. There's not really anything that has complemented my skin besides 2 products. I have been newly obsessed with this Nivea cream. Now I know people use it in different ways. People like to use this on the body, which I do so myself, but I love to use this on my face. Now as you can tell, it has been used. Now this Nivea cream retails anywhere from $6.97 to $8, and you can get it from Amazon, you can get it from Walmart, you can get it from Walgreens, pretty much any drugstore. I started off with about this much because this moisturizer is super thick, it's super creamy, and a little goes a very long way. So I like to pretty much hit all the 4 points of my face, and I like to really work that in. Now my driest areas are my nose, my forehead, and right around here. I think I actually have some sort of eczema because I have been just like really getting really bad dry patches, which I probably mentioned in every single video, but it is what it is. Alright, so I worked that in, and now I just sort of let it not really sit, but I kind of let it be for a second. And I do want to mention that I do have another favorite drugstore moisturizer that works for me and my super dry skin, and it is called the L'Oreal Hydra Genius. So this L'Oreal Hydra Genius right here is super moisturizing. Besides this Nivea, it is one of the best moisturizers I have ever used. So I would have to say the Nivea cream and the L'Oreal Hydra Genius, my top 2 favorites. Because there's a lot of products today, as much as I'm talking, I am gonna try to move it along. So we're gonna move on to primer. Now, I have a couple of primers that really work for me. I have definitely mentioned them in other videos, but I do want to shine light on what exactly they do. Now I have hydrating primers and silicone primers and a little bit of both. Now my top 3 favorites right now, I would have to say, is the NYX Hydra Touch. Now I used to use the Maybelline Master Prime, which is pretty much the same. So the NYX Hydra Touch goes for about anywhere from $9 to $14, and you can get it at Target, CVS, Walmart. I personally got this from Ulta because I was doing like a little Christmas haul. So this is a super hydrating primer, and I personally like to use just about this much, and I like to work it around my nose area and then put the remainder on the rest of my face because my nose, again, is the place that tends to dry up the most. So I like to keep a lot of hydration around my nose. And let me just warn you, it does feel a little bit weird texture wise going up against the Nivea moisturizer because the Nivea is so thick, so it doesn't fully sit into your skin, so it kind of sits on top, which is not necessarily a bad thing. Okay, then I put this on the remainder of my face. Alright, so now I'm gonna let that sit as well, and I'm gonna move on to more silicone based primers. Now my top favorite silicone based primer is the Baby Skin Instant Pore Eraser from Maybelline. So I already ran out of my tube, and I went ahead and bought a brand new tube because it is just so good. Now this, I have to warn you that it is a little bit more on the oily side, but it instantly fills in your pores. It's like one of the best of the best. I would definitely compare this to Benefit's Porefessional, which is like the top silicone pore filler primer. So I like to take this after I took the hydrating one. I like to take just a little bit of this because this is another product that a little goes a long way. So I took just about this much, and I do like to take that around my pore areas or like my fine lines. I'm just gonna put that right around my cheeks, and as you can see, I do have like a lot of bumps, a lot of acne, so that tends to stand out, you know, even putting makeup over it. And on to a favorite that I'm definitely not going to use today, but I do want to mention, is this e.l.f. Putty Primer. Now, I have used this in the last probably 3 videos because I'm highly obsessed. Now, it's kind of like a little bit of both of the hydrating primer and a silicone primer. Not so much of a silicone, but it does have a little bit of a blurring effect. So it's sort of like the best of both worlds, you know. It has this beautiful sort of silk finish. I really enjoy it. So this e.l.f. Putty Primer retails for about $8 in the drugstore. You can find it at Target, Walgreens, you know, all of the above. So now I'm gonna be moving on to my favorite part, foundation. So you guys know that I am obsessed with the Maybelline Fit Me foundation, the dewy one. So the matte one is definitely for more oily skin. The one I personally like to use is the dewy and smooth. There is dewy, there is matte. You can definitely use according to your skin type. This is probably my top favorite. It does have a medium buildable coverage, and it is my #1 favorite. This retails anywhere from $6 to $10 depending on where you go. Again, CVS, Walgreens. I personally get most of my stuff from Walmart, and I'm in the shade 220. So a new favorite of mine is the e.l.f. Flawless Finish foundation. Now this foundation is a little bit different from the Maybelline one because it doesn't have as much coverage, but again, it is definitely buildable, and it does have a radiant glowy finish. And I don't know if I'm necessarily in the shade vanilla. This one is a little bit light for me, and this does retail for $6 in Walmart. This is another one of my favorites for sure. I did, however, go ahead and do some research and, you know, try to find other favorites because those are sort of the ones that I use all the time. So I did go ahead and pick up this L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow 24-hour foundation, and I picked up the shade 205, which I'm gonna put on right now. I have no idea what this feels like, but I'm pretty sure this is my skin color, and this is what it looks like on the back of my hand. So this is what I'm gonna use today. So again, this is sort of like you know, my personal favorites, but also testing out favorites. So I'm gonna go ahead and use my Morphe sponge. I know this is not a drugstore sponge. I did try to find some drugstore sponges, they just didn't have it in my local Walmart, but I do recommend the Real Techniques sponge, and I also recommend the Equal Tool sponge. Both really good sponges. The Real Techniques sponge is a little more denser, Equal Tool is a little more softer. The Equal Tool sponge does retail for about $4 to $5, and the Real Techniques sponge does retail for about $7.95. So I am going to take this Morphe sponge, I'm going to take this L'Oreal foundation, which by the way retails for about $8 to $15 depending on where you go. Okay, just right off the bat, this like soaked into my sponge really quickly. I don't really know what that means, so I'm gonna definitely have to take more. Okay. So this is supposed to have a radiant glowy finish. I do know that there is a matte version of this, which is really good because, you know, there's different type of skin types and not everyone would prefer a glowy finish. I would say that this is a pretty good color match. You know, I like to think that I'm a little bit darker than I am. The Lord knows that I'm not. One thing I can say off the bat is that I'm having to use like a good amount of pumps because it seems to be absorbing into my sponge pretty quickly. And I've used this Morphe sponge multiple times, so I know it's not the sponge. And it's doing the same to my skin. So I'm putting it on the back of my hand and it seems to just be absorbing really quickly. I just wanted to put that out there. And I'm now going on my 4th big pump. And I know I usually don't start off with the face, but for the purposes of this video, I do want to make sure that I show every product in like order. And I do also want to mention that this foundation is definitely a little bit runny, but that probably has to do with the fact that it is more of like a glowy foundation, so it probably just is a little more watery. I would have to test this out to see if I really like it, but I don't see it like, it's definitely not acting funny, it's not falling into my lines or anything like that, and it is a little bit dark for me, but you know, we're gonna make it work. So those are my foundations that I definitely recommend. Again, this L'Oreal Infallible one, I don't know if I recommend just yet because this is one that I'm testing out today. Now I'm going to move on to concealer. Now, a lot like primers, there's different concealers for different things. Now, a lot of people like thicker formulas, they like light formulas. It really just does depend on you. So I have a couple of concealers that I'm pretty obsessed with. Obviously, I've mentioned them before, but again, I just want to shine light on them. For lighter consistency concealers, I would definitely recommend the Maybelline Fit Me concealer. Now, as you can see, this is one of my favorites because it really does have a light but buildable finish. And I like to personally use the shade 10 Light just to highlight my under eyes. It does have a nice yellow tone to it. And then moving on to more thicker consistency concealers, one of my top favorites, like my ultimate favorite, is the Maybelline Age Rewind concealer. I'm in the shade Light Pale. This is definitely more of that thicker concealer that you can use to cut the crease, that you can use just a little under the eyes. And then definitely another favorite of mine is the LA Girl Pro Conceal. Now this is a super thick concealer and it is super cheap. Now the Maybelline Fit Me concealer retails for $6 to $7. The Maybelline Age Rewind retails for about $6 to $8. And then the Pro Conceal is probably, again, is the cheapest out of all of them, which retails for anywhere from $2 to about $4. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Maybelline one. This is the one that you sort of have to push up a little bit. So I like to take this right under. This is definitely a really affordable but full coverage concealer. I'll take a little here, a little there because I am looking a little bit dark. And before I take my sponge and sort of like, you know, buff this out, I do want to go ahead and show you guys what I picked up for cream contour. Now, I don't always cream contour, but I really do think that it's a really good base for bronzing or like powder contour. So I did go ahead and pick up this e.l.f. cream contour palette. Now there's not a lot of like cream contour options in drugstores, but I do know that the Pro Conceal does have darker shades. So if you want to get like a warm tone or like a neutral toned concealer and use it as cream contour, you definitely can. But another option is this e.l.f. palette. So this palette is all cream contour and it does have one highlight shade and 3 cream contours, and I did go ahead and get this for about $6. So I am going to go ahead and take this shade up here. They don't have names on them, but I'm going to take this one right here. But as you can see, it does have a highlight shade. Now this is more of like a neutral warm tone. This is definitely warm tone, and this is the darkest shade out of all of them. So I'm going to go ahead and start with this one and probably mix and match with these. So I'm going to use a small foundation flat top. This one is a little bit more gray tone, so I am going to go ahead and take the one lower. Now I did swatch these on my hand yesterday. They did end up staining my arm, so that was a little bit, I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing, but I'm going to go ahead and buff out this concealer really quickly. You guys know that I usually use the Stila Custom Contour Duo, but again, that is not a drugstore product, so I want to see how this performs, because the thing with cream contours is that they tend to diffuse pretty quickly. Like when you blend them out, they become like non-existent, so I want to see how it holds up. I can say that so far it seems to be like performing really well, so it's not like blending out to nothing, which is always a really good sign. I always tell you guys that cream contour is not always a necessity, because you do go ahead and you set and you put bronzer on your face, and it's not really something that is always necessary, but I do like this cream contour a lot. So this would probably be my new go-to, because it does have a lot more options than the Stila one. So I'm gonna go ahead and begin to set my face, and you guys know that I'm like totally 110% obsessed with my Airspun powder. Now this is the original formula Airspun loose face powder. This is just my thing. Like I don't use anything else, and I don't plan to use anything else. Powders can be very tricky because a lot of them have flashback or they tend to dry out, and this one is just perfect for me. So I stick with my tried and true. Now the Airspun powder does retail for about $6 to $12. There's only a few points of the face that I like to specifically set, and then the rest I just use with a brush. So that's my smile lines, my chin, and under my eyes. But I do recommend Real Techniques brushes. They do retail anywhere from $6 to $10. I'm gonna move on to bronzer. Now, I've heard a lot of good things about the butter bronzer, which I don't have on me, but I will put it up right here. It does retail for about $9 to $16, which is a lot in my opinion. So I am gonna go with my favorite Wet n Wild contour palette. Now this retails for $4.99 everywhere, and this is the caramel toffee one. Now there is two different kinds, one that's more neutral tone than light, and this one is more like on the darker medium skin tone. And I'm gonna actually take a flat top soft foundation brush, and I'm going to bronze up the face. This is a really pigmented palette, so I do want to make sure that I'm careful. Okay, so what I also like to do is take the yellow side of it, and if things are looking a little bit too warm or a little bit too bronzy, I do like to take that, tap off the excess, and sort of go over it to sort of help, you know, melt everything together. Alright, now I'm going to move on to blush. So blush is a really tricky one for me because, as you guys may or may not know, I'm not really a big blush person. I usually use the Morphe 8W palette, but I have heard really good things about this e.l.f. blush palette. Now there are other options like the Milani blushes, which I heard are really good, and I will put them up right here. And this one in particular retails for about $6, just like the contour one. So this one's in the shade Light, so it does have a lot of, ooh, okay, no, it doesn't have a lot of light pink, which I thought it would, but this seems to be a bronzer shade, and it's super soft. So this is, I guess this is a peach shade, this is a really, or this is like the light pink shade, and this is a hot pink shade, and this is more of like a coral. I am going to take a cute little angled brush, and I love that these e.l.f. palettes have big ass mirrors in them. I'm obsessed. So I'm gonna take this one, and possibly this one. I know that this coral one does have shimmer in it. I'm kind of noticing that, but the other ones are matte. I tapped off the excess, and I'm gonna put that right on the apples of my cheeks. So I like that this one doesn't have like the craziest like overwhelming pigment, but it really is, I mean, it's definitely noticeable. So I think this may be like my new go-to as well. I love it. All right, now we are going to move on. Oh, we're going to move on to brows. Now, you guys know that I usually do my brows first, but I honestly used to do them last, or at about this point right here. So my go-to favorite is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer, and let's see if I can find her. It is the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer. I'm in the shade brunette, and this is my go-to. There's nothing else that I use. This one retails for about $8 to $10 depending on where you get it from. Again, I get my stuff in Walmart, but I did want to go ahead and try the NYX Micro Brow Pencil. I've heard really good things about this. It's supposed to be a dupe for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Brow Pencil, and this one retails for about $7 to $10. So I got the shade Ash Brown, and I think that a good brow pencil for me is one that has a good amount of wax and pigment in it. Some people don't like the Brow Stylist Definer. I don't know why, but they claim that it's a little too waxy, which I don't feel like that at all. I really just think that it depends on the person. But yeah, so I guess I will probably just be comparing it to my Brow Stylist Definer because that is just like my jam. So this is my first time opening it and seeing it in person. Again, I'm in the shade Ash Brown. It does have a spoolie side, which most of them do. So right off the bat, the point has a flat top, which I'm already like, I don't know, but I am gonna test the shade on the back of my hand. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty similar to the brunette shade. It is a little bit lighter, and you kind of have to build it up a little bit, but I think that I'll be okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and fill in my brows a little bit. I'm not gonna do like a crazy brow today, but I do want to fill it in enough that, you know, it doesn't look like she ain't got no brows, you know? Alright, so this is what this brow looks like. Right off the bat, there's not too much like wax in it. There is more pigment than wax, and I am like kind of obsessed. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other brow really quickly. And this brow is usually quicker and easier to do because it's the brow that actually like cooperates, you know. Alright, so I'm gonna go ahead and leave my brows like this. They probably don't even look like the same at all, but I kind of just want to like keep it going, move forward, you know what I'm saying? I spent like a good, like, I mean, maybe like 3 minutes on my eyebrows, but that's like enough for me. I'm gonna move on to eyeshadow palette. Now, I only have one palette, but I do have a couple of recommendations. So, my go-to drugstore eyeshadow palette is the Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette, which looks like this. Now, Wet n Wild is just like really winning with their eyeshadow palettes lately, and this one has to be my favorite. It has a lot of nice warm tones in it, and it does have a little cool tone, just like for transitions, and it has like nice shimmers, really soft buttery shimmers. A couple of recommendations that I did find out but I wasn't able to snag on time is the Milani Everyday palette. I heard it's a really good palette, but I'm gonna go ahead and just pop this on my eye really quick and just do like a really quick eye look. I'm not really going to go in because there is a couple of more things to go over. And by the way, that retails for $4.99. Hello?
Hey, baby.
Hey. All right, well, I'm just finishing up filming and then I'll yeah. All right, come on, I'm like filming. What's wrong with you?
I'm sorry, baby.
All right. Okay. All right, babe. All right, I'll see you when you get here then.
Okay. Oh, guess what?
What?
Hey. All right, baby. Love you.
All right, love you too.
All right. All right.
Bye, bye. Alright, so I did go ahead and do like a little eye look with this Wet n Wild Rosé in the Air palette. I literally used like 4 shades, which was this transition shade to transition, and then the darker shade to put on the outer corner, and I sort of blended it in with this transition shade again, and I went ahead and put a little bit of this lighter eggshell white to sort of help blend, and then I also put this gold champagne color as a inner highlight. So now moving on to lashes. You guys know I have had tons of hit and misses when it comes to lashes. I do have the Kiss Lash Couture Triple Push-Up Lashes, and these are in the style Teddy. I do love all of the styles of these lash triple push-up, of the lash triple push-up collection. So I do like Brassiere, I like Bustier, and so on and so forth. Now I do recommend these Kiss lashes and not like the light natural lashes. That's a no-go. But I also do love Salon Perfect lashes, which are a little bit cheaper than any lashes in the drugstore. I also love the Ardell Double Wispies. This retails from $7 to $12 depending on where you go, and the Salon Perfect lashes do retail for about $3 to $4, and the Ardell Double Wispies do retail for about $6. I do like to pair this up with drugstore lash glue always, but I do have a couple of recommendations. I do love the Duo Lash Glue in total. It's just like the #1 lash glue like that everybody uses, but I do recommend some more than the others. I actually have one of my least favorites on hand, which is the Duo Lash Glue brush on adhesive. This is not my favorite. It does dry too quickly because it does have a brush applicator. It doesn't produce much product, so I kind of have to go over my lashes a couple of times, which is kind of annoying, but I do recommend the dark adhesive if you like a lash glue that dries pretty quickly. I also recommend the clear adhesive, which is the blue bottle, and that one does take the longest of each of the lash glues to dry. The dark adhesive and the clear adhesive are the ones that I absolutely like love. Those retail for $6 to $9. Now I am going to use the Kiss lashes today, but I did go ahead and pick up these from Amazon, which I just want to mention. I know they're not like a drugstore brand. I did pick up these Amazon lashes because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to find any lashes. I've been going to the Walmart that's nearest to me, and it's just like they haven't really been having much variety of anything. But I just want to shout these out really quickly because they look bomb. These are the Beaufalon or Beaufalan lashes, and they are also 3D lashes, and they are bomb. I got these for $6 on Amazon. I will link everything down below, but these just look like heaven. I'm going to go ahead and apply these Kiss lashes really quickly. Alright, Alright, so I'm waiting for this side to dry, but I do want to mention two mascaras that I'm like obsessed with. I do love this L'Oreal Telescopic mascara. This is like my go-to, and then my other go-to is the CoverGirl Total Tease mascara. Now the L'Oreal one does retail for $7 to $12, and the CoverGirl one does retail for about $5 to $11. I think I'm going to use the CoverGirl one today. Alright, so now I do want to mention some liner. So I'm not going to really do like a bunch of liner because I think it looks fine like this. I may do a little bit of my waterline, but I do want to mention that I have been totally like 110% obsessed with the NYX Epic Ink Liner. And this is in the shade Black. And is this waterproof? And this is the waterproof one. It retails for anywhere from $6.30 to $8, and I got this on Amazon. But you can also get it on Walgreens, Walmart, the whole shebang. A regular eyeliner pencil, like actual pencil. Well, one of my favorites is the LA Girl eyeliner pencil, and this is only $2. So I am gonna take, oh my god, everything's falling. I am gonna take this LA Girl pencil and I am going to put it right in my waterline. I just think that it's nicely pigmented for a liner that's only like $2, you know? So now that everything is locked in place, oh, I also want to mention the Milani foil liners. I heard that they are really good. They do retail for about $8 though, so that's kind of like, you know, it's pretty much up to you. Oh, and also the Wet n Wild On Edge liner, I hear is really good, and it retails for about $4 to $5. Now we're gonna move on to highlighter, one of my favorite parts. Now you guys know that I'm like all about these Wet n Wild highlighters. They retail for $5, well $4.99. Two of my favorites is the Blossom Glow Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlighter and the Botanic Dream. They swatch pretty different. This one's more of like a pinky champagne color, and this has more of a purple undertone, and I'm obsessed with these. So these are always my go-to palettes, but I do have a new favorite, which is also from Wet n Wild, and it is the, my nails just broke. It is the Wet n Wild Loose Highlighting Powder, and this retails for $5 to $6. And this one is called Written in the Stars, and it is a loose highlighter. It is so good. I'm gonna take my Real Techniques brush. This is the Real Techniques setting brush, which is a drugstore product, and I will put up the price point right here. And I'm just like highly obsessed. It is like so good. Okay, I am obsessed. One highlighter that I do want to mention that I do have on hand but I just cannot find is the Maybelline Chrome highlighters. They are bomb.com, and they retail for $7 to $8 in your local Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Target, all of the above. Now I want to move on to lipstick. Now if you guys know me, if you've been watching my channel, you know that I'm like pretty good with like some lip gloss and we're good to go. But I did find these lipsticks from Milani, and they are like everything. So I found these two shades. They're called the Milani Color Statement lipsticks, and they retail for about $4.97 to $6, and they are so good. So the two shades that I did pick up, and I just watched these, I haven't worn them on, so I don't really know what it's like. I did pick up the shade Teddy Bear, and I also picked up the shade Bahama Beige. So I am gonna go ahead and swatch them for you. They're definitely like one of those cream lipsticks that don't have like the most matte finish, but they are really beautiful. They do have like a lot of payoff. This is the Bahama one, and this is the Teddy Bear one, which I think is like the cutest name in the world. But I think I'm gonna like mix and match these and see what I come up with, and they kind of go like perfect with like today's, you know, look. So I'm going to take Teddy Bear first. Oh, it smells so good. Like this smells like watermelon. It's like so good. So this is Teddy Bear, which I love by itself. She looks stunning. I'm going to put Bahama Beige right in the center to sort of give it that like that pop. It is a nice little combo, you know what I'm saying? It's like a nice, you know, dark nude lip, and I'm like living for it. And you guys know that I love my Wet n Wild Libra lip gloss, which retails for $3 to $4. Now I do want to wrap this up by mentioning two products that I don't have on hand, but I have used in the past, and they are bomb.com. I do want to go ahead and mention the Garnier Skin Active Rose Water Spray. I think it's a dupe for my Mario Badescu spray. They're both rose waters and they're really good. The Garnier Skin Active one does retail for about $6 to $9. As far as like setting sprays and things like that, I don't have one that is drugstore, but I do have a couple of recommendations, which is the NYX setting spray and the Maybelline setting sprays. I think that they have a really beautiful hold. Of course, I'll put them up right here, put up the price points here. So I'm going to go ahead and just spray this Mario spray, even though it is not drugstore. And this can be used as a good prep or a good set. So that concludes today's drugstore video. I hope you guys really truly enjoyed it. If there's other drugstore products that you're like, girl, that you're totally missing it, go ahead and comment it down below. And also make sure that you subscribe to Kriss Beauty, that you come back, turn on your bell notifications, and that you like this video. So again, if you love this video, please let me know down below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.